I never imagined my life could unravel so completely in a single moment. My wife, Laura, left me, not after an argument, not after a temporary crisis. She left me for another man, and to make it worse, she had a baby. It happened 3 years ago, and I remember the day vividly. I came home from a long shift, exhausted, expecting to see the life I had built with her, the house tidy, the kids' homework done, maybe a smile, a hug, and a story about her day. Instead, I found her sitting on the couch, suitcase by the door, a look in her eyes I didn't recognize. "I'm leaving," she said simply, as if she were discussing the weather. I froze. "Leaving? Where?" "For him. For someone else. I can't do this anymore," she said, barely meeting my gaze. My heart stopped. My stomach twisted. I wanted to scream, to beg, to throw myself at her feet, to make her see what she was about to destroy. But I didn't. I just stared. The next words were the ones that broke me completely. "I'm pregnant," she said. I couldn't breathe. Not tears, not anger, not even disbelief. Just silence. The room felt heavy, suffocating. The life I had imagined, planned, and worked for vanished in an instant. For months I tried to understand it, tried to fix it, tried to reconcile. I called, texted, visited. She blocked me, avoided me, and eventually stopped responding altogether. The man she left me for, Mark, became the center of her universe. I became a shadow, a memory, a man she had discarded for a new life she thought she wanted. At first, I hated him, hated them both. The jealousy, the rage, the betrayal consumed me. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to sleep. I walked around my home like a ghost, the echoes of our life together mocking me. Then, time passed. Pain dulls, but it doesn't disappear. Over 3 years, I rebuilt myself, not for her, not for anyone else, but for me. I focused on my work, my friends, my own sanity. I stopped obsessing over what she had taken from me and started considering what I could reclaim for myself. And then, 3 years later, fate, or coincidence, brought her back into my life. It was a Saturday morning. I was walking through a local park with my nephew when I saw her. Laura, pushing a stroller with a small child, laughing as she tried to keep up with a toddler's boundless energy. The child was hers, no doubt about it. And then I realized the resemblance to me. Those eyes, that smile, the curl of the lips. My own child, but not mine. For a moment, I didn't move. I watched from a distance, my emotions a storm of anger, grief, and disbelief. The years of betrayal, the nights of crying alone, the dreams I had once believed in, they all came rushing back. But then I noticed something else. Laura looked tired, stressed, frazzled in a way she had never been when I knew her. The man she had left me for wasn't there. She was alone, struggling to manage a child and a life she had chosen. I didn't approach her immediately. I didn't yell, didn't accuse, didn't demand explanations. I simply observed. 3 years had taught me that patience, calm, and strategy are far more powerful than impulsive confrontation. Eventually, Laura noticed me. Her face went pale. Recognition, shock, and a hint of fear flickered across her features. You're here," she said, voice shaking. "Yes," I replied, keeping my distance. Calm, controlled. She tried to smile. "It's been a long time." I nodded. 3 years. "Yes." Her eyes shifted nervously. I wanted to tell you things." I shook my head gently. "I don't need explanations. I needed honesty when it mattered. I didn't get it." The child in the stroller looked up at me, and for a moment, I saw the innocence that should have been mine to protect. I felt a pang of longing, but it was tempered by the reality that I had no claim here, not legally, not emotionally. Laura reached for my hand, a tentative gesture of reconciliation. I stepped back. "No, this is your life now. You made your choice, and you'll live with it." Her face fell. Fear crept in. The confidence she once had, the belief that leaving me and starting over would be effortless, was gone. She realized that time hadn't erased her mistakes, The man she left me for hadn't made her life perfect. The child she had created hadn't healed the wounds she inflicted. And now, facing me, she understood that betrayal has consequences. I didn't gloat. I didn't mock. I simply turned and walked away. The lesson she needed wasn't humiliation. It was the recognition that what she had lost could never be fully reclaimed. In the days that followed, I reflected on those 3 years, on the pain, the anger, the loss, but also on the growth, the resilience, and the strength I had discovered in myself. I realized that betrayal, as devastating as it is, can also be a teacher. It forces you to confront who you are, what you value, and what you will no longer tolerate. Laura may have left me for another man, and she may have built a life that seemed shiny and new. But in the end, she was the one facing the consequences of her choices. And I was free. Free from the lies, the pain, and the manipulations. Free to rebuild a life that I controlled, a life that was mine. Seeing her struggle that day, watching her panic at the reality she had created, I felt a quiet satisfaction, not the satisfaction of revenge, but of clarity. Life has a way of balancing itself. Karma doesn't always need intervention. Sometimes it simply unfolds naturally. And as I walked away from the park, leaving Laura and her child behind, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. 3 years of hurt had passed, and I had survived. I had endured. I had grown. And that, more than anything, was my victory.